Okay, sounds good.
All right, so we are actually live. We are live on Facebook, so since we're live, we'll go ahead and start. Gonzalo. Is that how you say your name, Gonzalo? Can you hear me still or not?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So, Gonzalo, thanks for being on my interview. I just want you to know I'm not a marketer. This is my marketing style, though, because I just gonna put on my hat and my shades, and we will begin. So we're live on Facebook. None of this is scripted. I don't ever script my interviews, and I just want to, before we start, I just want to be transparent with you and everybody in the world as far as why I'm doing these interviews. So I'm starting a virtual summit, and I'm doing these interviews basically just to screen people to see who could be on my virtual summit. And you know, you said that you like to meet people and network with people, and that's kind of what I'm doing here, is just meeting people, networking with people, and then leveraging your audience that you have to my advantage. So obviously I want you to get all the benefit from this interview itself, but my end goal obviously is to leverage your audience and
for sure
get to know your audience as well, so that they can buy my stuff. So
yeah, that's how networking works, right? Like we help each other.
For sure, yeah, that's how it's supposed to work. I don't really know. I don't network that much. I'm not really a social person. I don't get along with people that well for some reason. So I don't really script these interviews. I did send you a document, all right, and that document kind of outlined kind of how the interviews go. And did you understand that? Like basically, I just ask you random questions,
yes,
and then after those random questions, I give you a chance to provide whatever value that you want to provide to everybody that ever watches this, so that they get value from you, and then
for sure
they can buy your stuff. So right after that value, then essentially you go in and I talk about your offers and see what you have to offer people and what they can buy from you right now. So everything cool so far? You good to start?
Yes, I am.
All right. So I did give you a document and let you know that you could give me any questions that you wanted me to ask you, right? And I told you that you could tell me any questions that you didn't want me to ask you, and you literally said none on both ends. So I want to ask you about that. So why would you not take advantage of the fact that I literally let you basically
well, that's a good question. Well, one of the things is I would say fairly new to this space. So I have been working in the online business for around a year now. So I don't think I have anything to hide. I don't have anything to promote in a way that I need you to ask me something specifically. So it was weird for me to see those kind of questions. So it's like, do I want you to ask me something? No. Do I don't want you to ask me something? Not really. Like we are getting to know each other. Like this is the first time we're actually talking face to face, and I wouldn't do that with anybody. Like if I'm meeting someone for the first time, I wouldn't say you're not allowed me to ask me this, or you're not allowed, or you are only allowed to ask me those other questions. So it doesn't sound fair to me, and I don't know. I guess I just didn't feel it was the right thing to do, in my opinion.
What do you think the meaning of life is?
Well, everyone has its own definition for meaning and purpose, and I started to learn to accept that we are all different and we all have our own opinions. And for me, it means the meaning is just to enjoy life as much as you can and be happy as much as you can, because life is short, even though we have a few years here on this planet, but time flies. So for me, it's just live your life in your own terms, and be happy while you're doing it.
So how do you think we got here? Like you are a religious person or you're an atheist?
I was born, uh, I was born and raised as a religious person, like a Catholic. I come from Peru, South America, and most of us are Catholic there. It's just by tradition. So I was raised with those beliefs and the idea to going to church and those kind of things. And but I was slowly moving away from it. So I still consider myself a Catholic person, but I don't go to church every Sunday or those kind of things. So I don't practice that much. But I still believe in God. I pray when I need to and those kind of things. But it's not the thing that moves me. So it's there helping me on that. But it's not the one and only thing I do basically.
So you think that there was a creator that came and created us, is what you're saying? You think that there
I like the idea of believing instead of not believing. It's like if it is there, awesome. If it's not, nothing wrong with believing. So that's my opinion. Right?
So does it bother you if I smoke? Is that gonna bother you if I smoke? Can I smoke while we're doing this?
Well, I cannot smell the smoke, so that's okay. If you were right beside me, I would ask you not to.
All right, so thank you for that information. So tell me a little bit about yourself. You said that you help entrepreneurs to automate their sales process. Tell me a little bit more about that and why that's important.
So, well, basically, what I do is help people using an online marketing system called Kartra. I discovered this tool around a year ago, which is when I started this business. And what I like is this tool makes it really easy to help you automate your sales process when you are in the online world, like sales funnel, like having your digital marketing ready, like your email sequences, like paid landing pages, like all the way from opt-in, capturing leads to actually delivering online courses or memberships, for instance. And it's really amazing what it can do. Like it's very powerful. But I found people that find the tool overwhelming because they are not techy enough or they just don't have the time to learn it. And I found that there was a need in there for people like me who love technology. Like I really enjoy doing those kind of things. And that is how I started. So I am actually an engineer by profession. I did also a master's degree in business, electrical engineer. So I learned how to program stuff, so like how to do coding when I was studying. I even learned all the way from programming microprocessors, from like doing very low level programming language all the way to high level like C, C++, and those kind of other languages. I didn't do much about web development, but I learned a bit. And then I've been doing systems in general, like automation systems, for more than 20 years, like in my professional world. And I did a master's degree in business, so I'm MBA as well. And I also studied to become a project management professional. So I have quite a few of degrees under my belt, and I was doing really well on my 9 to 5 job. But then my son was born around 4 years ago, and that is when my wife decided to quit her job. She was doing really well as well in the corporate world, but she said, I need to be taking care of our son. And it's just the three of us here in Canada. So it's my wife, myself, my son. We moved to Canada around 8 years ago. And for me, it was awesome. Like she was staying with him, making sure he's growing well, healthy, strong, smart. And then there was a time that I said, well, you know what, it's too much to, to just for you doing that. So I said, I also need to spend more time with you guys, with him. And that is when we as a family decided to try this out. Like, okay, let's gonna take a risk of working on our own, creating a new business and see what happens, right? Like, so that's what we did. We planned in advance. We saved money in advance. We did training in advance, and then away we went. So a year ago, I just started this business, and now it's growing, and it keeps growing. So that's basically the whole story in a short time.
So you're an electrical engineer, right? So
Yes.
you have an education in electrical engineering. So I mean, I would say you're a smart guy, right? You said you had several degrees in business. So I want to ask you some weird questions if I can.
Okay.
Could you just tell me something that's emotional for you that you've never shared with anybody before, you wouldn't typically share on social media? Like something sad that's happened to you that you wouldn't actually share on social media.
Uh, I think I haven't shared this story publicly before. Um, Pieces of it I share with people when we talk, but in a more like social environment or in a more private environment. And of course, it's emotional because it's my son. Like it's. I believe he's the main reason why I do what I do. And then so my family come first for whatever I do or whatever I need to do. And so no matter what happens, they are first. And I want my son to be happy, to grow healthy, to grow smart, and I guess that's why I want to spend as much time as I can with him.
So are you saying there's something wrong with your son? Is he like sick
Oh
or something?
no, no, not at all. It's just that I believe he deserves, like kids deserve, to have time with their parents, basically, in my opinion. And if I can do that, like not everybody has that luxury. Like it's hard for most families to do that. Like sometimes families need the two parents to be working. Some families can afford to have one of them at home and one of them working. And we as a family have the luxury to be at home as much time as we can. So I work from home basically. I wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning while my son is sleeping. So I work at that times. And when I need to, I work very late nights. So I also work during the morning and afternoons when I need to, but I can move my schedule around him instead of the other way around. So I basically can say, oh, you know what, today he needs to go to school, or he needs to go to the doctor, or he wants to go to the park at the playground. It doesn't matter what time it is. I can just go with him if I need to. I don't need to wait for my shift to finish before I can see him.
That's one of the beauties of being an online entrepreneur, right?
Yes,
Kind of
exactly.
your own schedule. And I think that's why everybody wants this type of job, right?
Yes.
So at any time, if I ask a question, if you're not comfortable answering that question, just tell me, fuck that question, John. So you said you're from Peru, right? You're Peruvian.
Yes, I am.
Is that where you live at now?
Yes, I am.
So hablas español.
Por supuesto.
So I'm really curious about the Peruvian culture. All right. So I'd like to get a little bit of a backstory of your childhood, because I know a lot of South America is just a fucking poor as fuck. You said that you're Catholic, right? And I used to live in Bolivia. I grew up in Bolivia. I lived in Bolivia for 6 years. And
Okay.
like I witnessed the Catholic Church and their fucking massive, multi-million, $100 million temples that they have, guards within 16 guarding, while they have like the whole population out there starving in poverty. So I'm curious a little bit about your childhood. Like, were your parents well off, or were you poor? Or tell me a little bit about.
Well, Peru is one of those countries where you can see the two extremes when it comes to money. Like you see people literally starving because they don't have anything to eat, and you can see on the other extreme people who drive Mercedes or Audis, or like they have way too much money, right? So there are two extremes. And I believe the problem was that the middle class was way too small. Like it's growing, it's getting better. But when I was born, I think middle class was not that much there. So I didn't consider myself like poor in the sense of the money. I had food, my parents were working, like I had a decent life. So I had a house, so it wasn't bad in that sense. Um, but I experienced and I saw like different levels of economic, social, we call it classes, right? Like, so people being in a very poor position and all the way to people having a lot of money. And not only during my childhood, but also when I was a teenager and then when going to the university, I had the lack or the luxury to meet people from every single basically sphere or social condition in Peru. And I think that made me, oh, that gave me some, how do you call this? Um, a better idea of what's going on. So I was not just closed on my own bubble. Like I knew what was out there. Like I knew there were people uh, below me and there were people above me. So that made me be grateful for what I had, and that also made me be ambitious for getting more or to have more education, more money, more whatever it was. So I think I was lucky enough to be where I was,
So
and that's probably one of the main reasons why I'm here now.
you would say you had a fairly normal, fairly happy childhood. Your parents didn't break
Yes,
that you were
yes,
you were you weren't like you lived with your mom and dad and they were married and
exactly.
happily in love and they both worked, so you didn't go hungry and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I was lucky enough because my father died when I was 5. And a couple of years after, my mother married again another guy, and he was like my stepdad, and he was a really, really good man. So I cannot complain. So I had only good memories about my biological dad and my stepdad. So I was very lucky.
I'm curious, what's your stance on drugs? Like, do you do drugs? Have you ever done drugs before? Like any type of drug whatsoever? Like I said,
Well,
if you don't want to answer my questions, just tell me to fuck off. But I'm really curious.
uh, I just don't. Well, I usually don't use the word hate, but probably that is one of the things that I would say I hate. I've never used them, but I've been very close to them. Like I had friends, like basically even dying because of that. I've seen people, not friends but neighbors, like going from being sports people, like playing soccer every day, to being homeless because of drugs. So yeah, I would say that is probably one of the few things I usually use the word hate. I don't use that word that much, but I would probably use it for that. And it's not because I had bad experience or anything. It's for what I saw, what it can do to good people.
The reason that I asked you about that, I'm sure you probably think it's a weird question, but the reason I asked you about that is because Peru is really famous for one specific type of drug. Do you know what drug that is that you guys are?
Cocaine.
No, not
It's a new one.
that's that's Colombia, and so Colombia is really
Oh,
famous for
oh
cocaine.
yeah, they are too.
Bolivia does all that. They do all the coca exports, so they actually Bolivia, their entire economy is based on coca.
Yes,
So they
exactly.
and that's a really fucked up country. It's a really
Yeah.
poor country. But no, they're Peru's famous for ayahuasca,
Oh,
which is like a super powerful. It's like so it's
but that one is not used as a drug per se in Peru. That's more like kind of religious thing in some areas in Peru.
for
So
sure.
like you wouldn't find that in Lima, for instance, in the capital city. You wouldn't find it as something normal. Like probably people who use drugs in Lima, which is the capital city, would use cocaine or crack or something else. So ayahuasca is more on the Andes area, like in the highlands area, probably.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's for sure not the typical type of drug that I like.
no, I wouldn't, and I don't even think people would call it a drug back there.
They would in
Like,
the United States government for sure. It's classified.
oh, probably, yeah, because of the effects of what it has, right? But yeah,
So do you know some about ayahuasca? Have you like
I
ever?
heard about it. But I've never seen it close by. I don't even know if it is a liquid or some kind of dust. I just heard the name, but I've never seen it close enough to know.
Would you be willing to go and experiment with it yourself?
No, I am a control freak. So I like to be in control of what I do. And having drugs or even alcohol, like too much alcohol, makes you lose control. And I don't like that.
And okay, so let's see a little bit more about you and what it is that you do. All right. So I know you talked a little bit about your story, and I'm curious if you had experience as in the business world before. Like, did you have a job or something? Like, have you worked for places?
So when I finished university, I started to work for a company, and I think I lasted there 2 or 3 years, and then I opened my own company back in Peru. So four friends decided to start our own business there, but it was related with engineering. So we did building automation and industrial automation. So basically making things work on their own, right? Like making machines to work automatically. And we started doing security systems like access control systems and fire detection and suppression systems. So I've been working with systems for a long time. Then I moved to Canada, and I said, well, my wife wanted to study a master degree. She wanted to study a master in business, and I said, okay, let's move, but I don't want to study all over again, so I'm gonna look for a job. So basically, I did everything I needed to do to become an engineer here in Canada, which is different than being an engineer in Peru, in the sense of credentials and the process and all that. So I even had to take exams and prove that my education was at the same level as of any other Canadian person trying to be an engineer here. Then I did what they call engineering in training program. Basically, you need to have a professional engineer on top of you reviewing your work, making sure that you're doing the right thing, following the code of ethics and all those kind of things. And I finally became a professional engineer here in Canada. And I've been working for 7 years in Canada, so for companies before, until I decided to just move on and this new adventure of working on my own again, but in a different country this time.
Well, my audience is like anybody in the world. I've got some really cool people who like, this type of conversation, but the vast majority of my audience is just what I would call fucking selfish. They don't want to hear about you in your life. They just want you to provide them value, and they just want you to help them. So we're going to get to that, and we're going to give those selfish people some time to actually get to that. Hopefully we'll go in, and I'm going to ask you some questions, and you can maybe provide some insight on how you transitioned from being an employee to having your own company, and what that's like, and what people should expect going into the entrepreneurial world. But before then, since you are an electronics engineer and you've worked in automation before, I want to just ask you some more questions about things that I'm interested in. So what do you think about the world and society as it's going right now? Do you think do you not think that we as humans, if we actually quit being selfish and actually work together, that we could automate everything in the fucking world? Like where you live at in Peru, right? There's still, how many people die of hunger, right? How many kids are there hungry? Do you think that, based on your knowledge of electrical engineering, and based on being an engineer, do you think that humans, we are capable, if we wanted to automate the entire food production for the world so that nobody was hungry?
Well, that's a controversial topic, because even I don't know, maybe 50 years ago, or I don't know how many years ago, but there was a time where elevators were controlled by the person, right? So like you walk into an elevator, most people won't even know about this, but you walked into an elevator and somebody was pushing the buttons, right? And then you were going to your floor, getting out of the elevator, and there was a person all day long going up and down on an elevator. When automation came in, some people started to complain, but you are taking away a job from that person. While other people were saying, well, you're actually asking that person to look for a more decent job instead of being sitting there moving up and down without doing nothing with his or her life. So it's all a matter of point of view, and it's all a matter of beliefs. So in my opinion, we should be able to automate stuff, but not for the sake of um, save money on workers, but for the sake of allowing those people to do something better with their lives. Like,
For sure.
it's the same thing with machines, right? Like at the beginning with mining, for instance, people needed to go and by hand, like grind the rocks. Now we have grinding machines. It's more effective. It's like safer. Like you don't risk anybody's lives. Like before, we used to see people dying when they were doing constructions. Like just remember 100 of years ago when they were building a bridge, it was normal. It was in the budget that some people were going to die. That is right now, you cannot think about it. Like if you have someone dying during a construction, it's like you can go to jail because that's not just not right, right? That's why you have machines. That's why you have equipment, because you don't need to risk people's life in order to build something. So technology, automation, and how we evolve is going to slowly go, hopefully, to a better place. But the main reason why we don't go faster, in my opinion, is because politicians and people who have the power, or even false power because it's not their own power, they just don't want others to grow. They just want to keep in power and keep people uneducated and keep people hidden. And I guess you can see that everywhere in the world. It's not just a third country problem, but you see it more clearly in those kind of countries. Like I can see it in Peru. You see the same politicians since I was born until today. So like I'm 45 right now, and I see basically the same people just going in circles, and some of them they are going to jail even, but they are still there. It's like politics doesn't change, at least not that much in South America. You see what's going on in Venezuela, you see what's going on in Bolivia. Like probably all around the world is very similar, but I am just more familiar with what happens in South America in that sense. And it's just some people don't care about everyone else. Some people care just about them, and unfortunately they are in a position of power, and they do whatever they can to keep there and to avoid other people to get in there. So we'll see. Sorry, I guess I kind of didn't answer exactly what you asked, but it
No,
was just my opinion.
and that's fine. I want you to know that I am totally paying attention to you whenever I look over here. I just have Facebook over here. I'm just paying attention to Facebook as well, seeing who all's commenting and stuff.
For sure.
But you know, you're right to some extent. I feel like the powers that be want the world to be stupid. You know, like
Yes.
even in the U.S., you know, people
Yeah.
think that the U.S. has a lot of people think that the U.S. has this amazing educational system, and I really look at the educational system and I feel like it's really not that great. Like they educate you to a point where they don't want you to be intelligent. They want you to be educated enough to serve a function that actually serves them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, have you ever heard of the singularity, and have you ever heard the term singularity? Do you know anything about the singularity?
I heard about the term, but I haven't researched much about it, so I don't know exactly what it means.
Okay. So do you think that it's possible to go in and decode the human consciousness? Obviously, as an electrical engineer, you understand electronics and you understand, magnetic radiation and what's happening in our brain, right? So do you feel like it's possible to go in and have a way to decode the human consciousness and essentially have like a little chip inside a human brain where we can essentially transmit data from you to me, and we could, let's say, do a Google search inside our brain without having to actually physically do it. We just think and do it. Do you think that's possible?
I once heard everything is impossible until someone does it. So I don't know if it's impossible, but I believe it's gonna take a lot of time before we can get there. And I think if we are ever able to do that, it will take away our humanity, in my opinion. Like being unique, being able to filter inside ourselves, being able to make decisions about ourselves, about what we say, even though we may be thinking something, but we don't say exactly what we think because we want the message to be received correctly. I think that's what makes us humans. And if there is a time where we have something external, which is like human made, helping us do that or controlling us in that sense, that would defeat the purpose of being humans, in my opinion. Like, I do believe in technology helping us as humans, but I don't believe in technology taking over our humanity, if that makes sense.
So that kind of explains the singularity, right? So if you understand, if you can grasp the concept, which I'm sure you can, of essentially having an interface between the conscious brain and essentially, so the conscious brain and each other, and essentially analog and digital information, right? So that's essentially the singularity. The singularity is essentially we evolve technology enough where we embed it in ourselves, and we essentially come in and we change our own evolution, and we evolve outside of humanity, let's say, right? We become the next thing in the ladder, right? Our next evolutionary state. So the singularity is basically, so we go in, we build these devices, and we connect ourselves, and then now we're all connected like a hive mind, right? So that is what essentially the singularity is. It's essentially a singular unified consciousness, right? So you grasp, you can understand the concept of that.
Well, that's why I was thinking that would make us lose our individuality. And I believe being individuals, being different, is what makes us human. So I associate that concept to the Borg on Star Trek, for instance. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but so that's what they are, right? Like the Borg are just one conscience and basically doing whatever the main conscience says, without opinion, without saying or vote or whatever. Even though some people still can control other people somehow, like brainwash or those kind of things, but we still have a choice. Like you don't need to do what everybody else is doing. Like you can do whatever you want. You can test on your own. You can fail on your own. You can succeed on your own. So. And
you would essentially fight to maintain that, right? So if I tell you that I want to end humanity, right? I want to end humanity in a way because I want to see humans evolve to not be humans anymore, to go to our next evolutionary state and actually work together as a single organism, kind of like how my body does. You know, my body is a billion little microorganisms all together to create me. So if I tell you that's my goal and that's my mission, would you fight me? Like, would you join the army and
I wouldn't fight you. Yeah, I wouldn't fight you. I just wouldn't join you. It's like I usually don't work against, I work for something. Like if I don't like something or I don't believe in something, I just let it go. It's like, it's your choice. Like That's why we're humans. Like, you have the right to choose what you want. I have the right to choose what I want. So I respect what you decide, and I expect you to respect what I decide. And that's it. It's like smoking, right? Like, I respect that you smoke. I don't, but that's your choice. I won't do anything for you to quit smoking. That's not my job. And I would expect you not to try to convince me to smoke either. So it would be the same thing, or
So
same idea at least.
you're not down for the singularity and the unified consciousness, which is totally fine. You don't have to agree with it. So I think I've asked you enough weird ass questions. So let's get to that value part where now my audience has, the ones that are so to give you a little bit about my process is I like to weed out people. So in my interviews, I do random stuff like this and try to, just ask questions where they're not going to get any real value. And then the only ones that stay long enough, then they get rewarded and they actually get the value. So, so I'd love to jump into that if you're cool with that.
Okay.
Just let you provide whatever value you can and whatever area of expertise you think that you can provide value in.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I was actually thinking about 3 topics I would like to talk about. So you just mentioned that you have people in your audience who are thinking about the idea of leaving their 9 to 5 or their regular jobs and going into this online business, or even their own business. It doesn't have to be an online business. So my main recommendation, my main advice for people thinking about creating their own business is to first develop at least one skill which they feel they are super comfortable with. And like, you need to develop a skill where you feel you're really good at what you're doing. That skill has to be something people want to pay for. So it's not just develop a skill and that's it. It's develop a skill that people are willing to pay for. For instance, in my case, when I started my first business in Peru, I developed the skill of being able to configure and set up automation systems for companies, right? Like for mining companies, for buildings and those kind of things. So there were people willing to pay for it. So I didn't need to sell what I was trying to sell. I just needed to look for people who were willing to pay for it. So the sell per se was easier. So once you have a skill that you can sell, then think about creating a business. And if you are already working like a 9 to 5 job and you want to move on and do your own thing, I would strongly, strongly, strongly recommend that you save money first. So it doesn't matter when you want to start. I would recommend that you have savings to keep living your life for at least 1 year without any income. So let me repeat that. Assume that you're gonna be fired and you need to live from your savings the same way you live right now, like paying your mortgage, eating whatever food you eat or whatever you do, for at least 1 year without any income at all. So that's the amount of savings you need to make. Let's say to make it easy, you spend $1,000 per month. That's what you need to live. So you need to save $12,000. You need to have $12,000 in your bank account before you say, you know what, this is time to quit. This is time to start my own business, because it's gonna be an adventure and it's gonna be hard and it's gonna take time before you make your first sale. It's not as easy as people say. Like, you will find a lot of free stuff, advertising, people selling you the promise that you can quit your 9 to 5 tomorrow and start making money online or start making money quickly and easily. That's not true. Like, if you are that kind of person, please think twice. That is not true. Every business, online, offline, whatever business you do, it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of effort. At the beginning, you're going to work more than what you work on your 9 to 5 before you can actually make a sale, before you can actually start making money. You will probably need to invest in education again. You may need to invest in systems. You may need to invest in training or whatever. So make sure you have some money, like your backup plan there, your money there just in case. And don't just quit your job. Just try to start first like a side hustle. Like you have the weekends, you have the evenings. If you don't have kids, that's the right time to start. Like stop watching TV, stop, like, I don't know, wasting your time on YouTube, or use your time wisely, basically. So time is a luxury, and not everybody recognizes that. Like time is a luxury. We are here for a limited time only, and once time is gone, it's gone forever. There is nothing we can do about the past. We can only control or have some kind of control about the future. So whatever happened, happened. There's no good for you on complaining. There's no good for you on remembering what happened. I should have done this. I shouldn't have done that. It doesn't solve anything. What you can do is learn. Okay, I've did this. It didn't work. So what I can do differently next time. So that is the attitude you need to follow in order to keep growing or keep trying. So don't just quit your job. Start something on the side when you have time, like again, your weekends, your evenings, or whatever, and start thinking about something you like. Again, the same idea, the skill that people will pay for it, and then try to see if it has if it has potential or not. Maybe it doesn't, but maybe it does. Maybe you can start a YouTube channel. Maybe you can start a Facebook page, like something just for fun at the beginning if you want, and then see if you can turn it into a business. But once you make a decision to turn that idea into a business, make it a business. So make it legal right away, create your incorporation or whatever it's called in your country. Make sure you have your books. Like if you don't know how to do it, hire someone at least for a few hours or whatever to help you with accounting, with planning, with your finances. Like you have expenses in a company. It's not like, okay, I sell so much money, so I have all that much money. No, it's not true. It's just the other thing in the online world that people said, oh yeah, I am a 6 figures online entrepreneur. Do you know what that means? It means that they sold more than $100. They didn't tell you if it was in a year, in 2 years, in 10 years, and they didn't tell you how much they spent in order to sell $100,000. I can easily sell $100,000 if I spend $500,000. That's easy. So don't get excited about other people's results, because everyone is a different story. So you need to make your own, and you need to be realistic when you're trying to build a business. It's a business. So don't see it as, okay, I'm going to make money quick. It doesn't exist. Like, unless you win the lottery, there is no way for you to make money quick. So take it seriously, think what you want to do, and then start building your business. So this was the topic for people who want to or are thinking about starting a business. Like they are already working, or maybe not working, but they want to start a business. So that would be my advice for them.
So
then
let's just recap that.
Mhm.
So basically, you just went over how you can leave your 9-to-5 job and start your own business, right? Which is, you know, a lot of people, almost everybody really dreams about that, right? They don't fucking want to go to their work. I don't think everybody really dreams about starting their own business. I think everybody dreams about not having to have a job, but having money. All right.
Exactly.
But there's a lot of people out there who want to go into this world of being an entrepreneur and having a business owner, being a business owner. So basically, your advice is, and your step-by-step process is basically, don't just quit your job. So don't think about quitting your job at all. First thing that you need to do is develop a skill that people are willing to pay for. All right. So how, like, could you elaborate on that a little bit more? Like, how would you figure out this skill? Like, could you give some advice? How do you figure out the skill that people are willing to pay for?
Okay. Well, it can be something that you already do, and if not, it should be something that you like to do. Like in my case, for instance, when I started with Kartra, I already love the idea of building system and automating stuff. So Kartra is really powerful in the back end, so you can do a lot of things in different ways. Like it's automation in the online marketing world. So for me, it was just automation in a different world. So instead of automating machines, I was automating processes. So I knew how to do that and I enjoyed doing that. And then I realized that some people were either overwhelmed or didn't have the time and they were willing to pay for someone to do it for them. So same idea, like let's say, I don't know what kind of skill you like, or you know how to fix something very well that nobody else can do or not many people can do, and you see that in social media or on Google search or on YouTube, people are searching for that. Like people are trying to find a way to solve a problem that you can solve. Then that is a sign that you can do something. If you want to be in the online world, then think about something that can be done online. So basically, so you don't need a machine or a physical tool or something to do the job that you want to do. Like that would be the easiest in the way, or in the sense that you can work with anybody in the world who is willing to pay. Like in my case, I have clients from UK, I've had clients from the US, I've had clients here in Canada, I have clients in Australia. So the internet allow us to go wide in that sense. Like we can work with anybody in the world, but it's because the kind of work that I do. Like if you are, I don't know, if let's say you repair cell phones, like you have a way to repair cell phones that nobody else can do. That's hard to do all around the world. Probably it's going to be more local because people will need to actually give you their cell phone. It's physical, right? So then that if that is the skill that you develop, then you will need to open some kind of shop or something different than if you work in the digital world, basically. So again, it's first what you do, what you like to do. Just imagine yourself doing that every single day for the next 5 years. And would you be happy doing that? Would you be so happy that you would even do it for free or as a hobby? Like if you were a millionaire, like if you didn't need to worry about money, would you enjoy doing that? Like doing it for free for your friends, for instance? If that's the case, that's again a really good sign that you are in the right path. Oh,
So
you're muted.
I really love that. I really love that advice, Gonzalo. And that's what I tell people, even in my community. Like if you want to get into the space and you want to leave your 9 to 5, then you don't want to replace your 9 to 5 with another 9 to 5, right? And you already touched on this a little bit, and you said that you need to be prepared that this is going to be harder than your current job. And
Mm-hmm.
whenever you're painted these pictures by these gurus that you just go be an entrepreneur and you take this course, and all of a sudden you've got hot bitches with big titties and Lambos and mansions and shit. That's not how it works, guys.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder than your real job. So you don't want to replace your 9 to 5 with another fucking 9 to 5. So basically, you're here and you're giving advice on how to leave your 9 to 5 and start your own business, which you've already done. And basically, so where we've got so far, just to recap for everybody, is you're saying don't quit your job. So don't even think about quitting your job. What you need to focus on is developing a skill that people are willing to pay for. And how do you pick this skill? So your advice is great advice. Basically, follow your passions. So essentially, assess your passions and find the things that you yourself love to do. And I think you hit it right on the head. What would you do for free? Like me, I started my own company doing computer engineering because I would program computers for free. I've done it for free. Like literally, I would do it all day long for free. So follow your passions. Essentially, go in and assess what are your passions, and then assess your current skill set, and then try to find something. I guess try to find something that fits into your passions and that you have skills and that you can find a way to monetize, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the next you said and this was another one I'd like you to expand on a little bit if you can. You said save up enough money to live like you're currently living for 1 year before you quit it's your job. So, and the reason I'd like you to expand on that is because, you know, most people are living paycheck to fucking paycheck, right? Most people, they don't have no extra money. Most people want extra money, so they don't have no extra money. That's why they want to start their own business anyways, because they think if they start their own business, they're going to make millions of dollars. They're going to get the Lambos and stuff. So how can they do this? How can you?
The easiest way, in my opinion, is imagine that tomorrow your boss tells you, I need to reduce your salary by 10% or I need to fire you. What would you choose? Probably you would say, okay, reduce my salary by 10%. So 10% less than today. If I was making 100, from now on, I'm going to make 90. Would you be able to still live paycheck by paycheck? I'm sure you would. You would stop eating out. Maybe you would stop drinking that much every week. Maybe you would stop smoking that many cigarettes during the day. Maybe you would stop your Netflix account. Maybe you would stop your cell phone account or find a cheaper one. There are ways to save a little bit of money. So if you put yourself on that position, then open a new bank account for savings, and just as soon as you get your money in, take 10% and put it on the other account and don't touch it. So it's like you are being demoted and now you're going to have 10% less in your salary and you have to make it work. Now, the savings for living a year may take you 5 or 10 years to actually do the savings. But again, time is a luxury. If you have the time, start saving now. You don't need to start your business tomorrow. You don't need to start your business next year. Who says so? You can start your business 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whenever you have the means. Just be ready, be prepared for it. It's like you're training for it. I'm telling you I'm giving you this advice. You can take it or leave it. You can try it on your own. You can try your own business tomorrow if you want with zero savings. What do you think is going to happen after a couple of months when you don't see any revenue? Like not from your job because you already quit, and not from your new business because you are too new to make money. It's just reality. So it's not that I'm trying to be like the smartest guy in the room or something like that. I'm telling you by experience. I'm telling you by what I've seen in so many businesses. And this is just how life works. Like money is a fuel we need. If you don't have money, you will need to spend more time doing what you need to do. So you need money at least to eat. That's why I recommend you have savings. And again, there is always a way to do some savings, even if you're living on a check by check. Like if you are in debt, probably that would be your first mission, to pay out your debt. And after that, think about savings. But again, just put that idea in your mind. You're gonna need to reduce your salary by 10% or you need to be fired. Which one would you choose?
So basically you're saying just, you know, like I think who that was that said that book, but The Richest Man in Babylon, I think, was a book that is mentioned. I think it's Rich Dad Poor Dad as well that is mentioned, where they say pay yourself first, right? That's one of the keys to wealth is to always pay yourself first. And what they mean by that is to always save money, right? And they recommend like that 10%. It's funny because that's what the church also tells you that they need.
Yeah, that's true.
So you just do that without hesitation, right? You look in your life and you see, hey, where am I spending extra money that I don't have to spend? Maybe it's your cable, maybe it's going out to eat, maybe it's like, for me, it's cigarettes. And I'm not gonna lie, on Facebook, I smoke weed, so I spend probably $100 a week on marijuana. I could easily, save that weed money. I would be a little bit more stressed out. So save money, right? Now, again, we're going from quitting your 9 to 5 to being an entrepreneur and being a business owner. So you should, and you talked about this as well. You talked about, being prepared that it's going to be harder than your current job. So just keep that in mind. You're going to have to fucking sacrifice. If you want to get up here, you're going to have to sacrifice. So far, It's don't quit your day job, develop the skills that people are willing to pay for, and you're going to follow your passions, assess your current skill set. So then you need to save up enough money to live like you're currently living for 1 year before you quit your job. And how you can do that is just pay yourself first, start saving money, cut down your expenses, save up money. And that's going to take some time to obviously save up for an entire year. And be prepared that it's going to be harder than your current job for some amount of time. Then you said use your time wisely while you're still working your 9 to 5. So what exactly do you mean by that? Like,
So what is it that most people do after their job? They said, I'm so tired about my job that I need to relax.
sure.
It's very common, right? I need to watch TV, I need to watch the game, or I need to play video games, or go to YouTube, or scroll my Facebook, or whatever it is to kill time. So that is a waste of time. Time is a luxury that most people don't recognize that they have. So we as people take for granted the things that we have. So for instance, we take for granted, or most of us in North America at least, that you will open the tap and you will have running water, drinkable running water. For other people around the world, that is a luxury. And we take it for granted because were born with that, and it was just there for us. It's like kids today, when they are born, they know about the internet. And for them, it's there and always has been there. So they take it for granted. For me, I saw how the internet was born. Probably for you too. So you saw how it evolved, right? So we don't take it for granted. We know how it all started. So just don't take things for granted. And think about time as a luxury. And every time you're going to do something, be aware of what you're going to do and if it's going to help you to achieve what you want to achieve, whatever it is. If you want to relax, that's okay. I don't mean that you need to work all the time. If you need to relax, you can say, okay, I really need to relax. I'm very tired. I'm going to watch TV for an hour. 1 hour is enough for me to relax, to rest. After that, I need to start working on my project, on my side project. It could be research, it could be training, it could be whatever it could be. But again, think about your time as a luxury. Like, I remember once reading something like, what if you die tomorrow? Right? Like, you can think every day like that. Okay, what if I die tomorrow? Like, would I be happy about what I did yesterday or what I'm doing today? So how do I make the best of the time that I'm spending right now? And it doesn't mean that you need to be working every single minute. It just means that you need to be aware of what you're doing and be mindful if that thing that you're doing is going to help you grow or is going to help you move forward in the direction that you want to go.
So I think that really goes back to mindset again. Like, if you want to get to this level, you have to be prepared to sacrifice. And I don't have a problem myself. Like, I work 20 hours a day myself personally. Sometimes I work 22, 24 hours a day. So yeah, I like that. I mean, obviously, if you're saving 10% of your money, right? You're saying save 10% of your money so that until you have enough money to essentially be able to not work for a year and live off your savings, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
While you're doing that, that's going to take you some time. While you're doing that, you could be, whenever you're off work, you could be learning your skill set, right? So use your time wisely and invest your time, and be prepared that you have to sacrifice literally everything, right? And that's my biggest advice to people who want to leave their 9 to 5 and start their own businesses. Be prepared to sacrifice everything. Sacrifice your entire fucking life. And if you're not prepared to do that, then don't fucking start. All right?
I just thought about something right now while you were talking. If you want to make a trial, the other thing you can test is take 1 month vacation or 2 weeks vacation or whatever you can take from your job and fully dedicate to the idea of working in your own business, even though it's not a business yet. Just live the experience of being working 20 hours a day for 2 weeks and see how it feels.
And then your last step was essentially, I think your last step was super important. It was another mindset thing, I think. It said, don't compare yourself to other people or measure yourself against other people's results. And basically that boils down to money doesn't come quick, right? Like you see all these people, like if you watch my live video right before this video, I went in and showed screenshots of, how much money that I make based on my work. And I showed that the last 4 weeks, I made $148,000, right? Now, that may seem like a lot to some people, but to me, that doesn't seem like a lot. Like my goal, I need to make $1 million a day. That's my goal. But the end piece of advice here is don't compare yourself to me, right? Don't compare I should be comparing myself to Grant Cardone, who makes like $365 million a year. He's making $1 million a day. Don't compare yourself to other people because that's useless, right?
Yeah. It is fully useless because you don't have the skills they have. You don't have the experience they have. So you are unique, basically. And you're going to grow at your own pace. You're going to achieve your success at your own pace. And it's hard. I get it. Like, we all do that. We all compare with others. It's just human nature. But if you are in business, just be mindful about it and use it as an inspiration. Oh, I want to get there. It's going to take me a few years, but I want to get there. Instead of saying, oh, how is this guy having so much success and I am not? Well, the answer is simple. That guy was working on this more than you were. It's that easy.
For sure. And like, I think that's the most powerful part of your step there that you've given that people really need to know is that you can't compare yourself to other people, because what happens is everybody that's out there doing their own thing, most people, I won't say everybody, but most people are not going to give you a full story, all right? You go and you hear the guru and he's like, look, here's my course on how to make $1 million in 24 hours. And maybe he did a launch, and maybe within that launch, in a 24-hour period, he made $1 million. And that's fucking marketable to go in and sell that course. What's not marketable is like, hey, how to make $1 million in 10 years, because I spent 10 years actually learning everything that led up to this 24 hours. So
exactly,
I'm super transparent on the internet. Like I've broadcast my whole story for the most part, but even I can't do everything, right? Even I can't go in and broadcast every single thing. So even my story, you guys don't get to see all the shit that goes in behind the scenes. So don't compare yourself to other people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that's the only thing to be careful about the online world. Like people will show you, or most people will show you whatever makes sense to make a sale. So everybody's trying to sell something, basically. Like there is nothing, absolutely nothing for free. So it may be at no cost, at zero cost, but nothing is free. It's going to take either your time, they're going to ask you for your email address, they're asking for your attention. So one way or another, you're paying for stuff. That's how this world works. There's nothing for free. It may be things at no cost, which is different. No monetary cost, at least. $0, but it doesn't mean free.
Well, this has been great so far, and I really appreciate it, Gonzalo. I want to get a chance to go over your offers and let everybody know what you have to offer. But if you have a little bit more time and want to give a little bit more back, I'd love for you to be able just to give you're an expert in business automation, right? And you said that you're an expert in essentially automating the sales process. So if you could just give, whatever value, maybe some step-by-step processes that people can go implement right now and inside their process, like what value could you bring to help people automate their process right now?
Okay, so about that, actually, I like to go a step higher. So I'm a strong believer of strategy first. So I work with a tool called Kartra. But what I do with most people that come to me about that, like they say, oh, I want to build a system in Kartra to sell my stuff. And I come back and say, well, that is not how it works, at least not in my opinion. So what I would recommend to anybody looking for a tool is to first start from the top, which I call it the strategy. So you need to be clear and you need to be aware of what you want to achieve, what your goals are, like what is just your business about. Before you can think about anything else, think about your strategy. For instance, you are a course creator. You said, okay, I want to create an online course. Okay, how are you going to deliver that course? It's going to be live, it's going to be pre-recorded, it's going to be like online, like on Zoom or something. Like, first you need to think about how you want to that your product to work. Then maybe you may say, oh yeah, I want it to be like a pre-recorded evergreen course where I don't need to be selling anything. Like I want an automated selling machine which will sell online. Now, okay, then how you're going to drive traffic to your offer? Do you already have an audience? Are you going to run ads? What is it that you want to do? And then keep going and keep going. Once you have that idea defined at a high level, then go to the second layer, which I call the structure. So the structure basically means what do you currently know or your team know or are comfortable with working, or what are you willing to hire someone or a company to do for you? Like you already know that you're going to need ads, for instance. Do you know about Facebook ads? Or are you willing to hire someone to do the ads for you? Let's say you're already in your part of your strategy, you said, I need a system which will deliver my online training, but I also need a system to do online marketing on emails. Like I need a sales page, I need to charge people online, like I need a checkout page on those kind of things. Then you would ask yourself, like, do I already know tools which do that? Or will I need to hire someone to do the research for me? Or I am in a position where I can hire someone or a company to do that for me? Once you're clear on all that, then you go to the third step or the third layer, which I call the systems. And that is the time when you think about tools like Kartra, ClickFunnels, Kajabi. All of those are just tools. And you need to make the tools work for your strategy, not the other way around. So the main mistake I see is that people go directly to search for a tool. Oh, I want to use Kajabi. Why do you want to use Kajabi? Because a lot of people use it. Some other people say, oh, I want to use Kartra. Why do you want to use Kartra? Because it's new, it's hot, it's trending or whatever. Well, that is not a good reason. That doesn't make business sense. If you're already clear on your strategy, you're clear on your structure, then you can make a better informed decision about the tool that you want to use. And again, the whole point of choosing a tool is having a tool that works for you, not the other way around. So I've seen people trying to fit their strategy into the tool instead of having the tool working for them, and they get frustrated, they complain about the tool doesn't work, the tool is not good enough or whatever. It's not the tool, it's that you didn't choose the right tool. It's like having a hammer, right? Like you can say, oh, this hammer, you can do whatever.
Can I just stop
For sure.
for 1 second? Can we just back up for a second? I got number one, which number one is totally makes sense. Be aware of your goal, what your end goal is, right? And then I got number three. Number three is your systems. So can we just go back over number two? What's number two?
Okay. So this structure, what I mean is some people are aware that they can, for instance, I am aware that I can learn any tool. So I don't care about what tool I'm going to use, I can learn it. Some people are fully aware that they cannot and that they will need to hire either a company or someone to do it. It's like in my case, I am aware that I don't know how to do Facebook ads properly. So I will need to hire someone to do it for me. So that is very, very important and very key, because you may already have something. Like if I were going to launch a campaign for something new, I already know that I know Kartra. So then I would say, okay, Kartra is one good option because it works for me because I know how to make it work. And then maybe if I want to use something else, I will need to hire somebody to do it for me. So you already know what you know, and probably you don't know what you don't know. So in the structure idea is what your team or yourself, if you don't have a team yet, feel comfortable with. Like you know that you're going to need a tool to do, I don't know, let's say you are in the software development. You know you're going to need a tool to do testing for your software, for instance. So do you currently know a tool to do that? Does your team already know it? Or will you need something new? So that is basically just to make sure you know what your capabilities are, like you already know, maybe you already have a testing tool that you can use. So then you start from something instead of starting from scratch. So that would be the part what I call the structure. It's basically you, your team, your skills, and your willingness to learn or your willingness to hire.
Okay, so basically step one is the goal, and step two is step three are the systems themselves.
So then when you are actually evaluating your tools on step 3, you are thinking about your strategy. So does it make sense for the strategy that I have? So for instance, let's say you want to sell physical products, books, t-shirts, or whatever, something like that. And you already know a tool which doesn't work well with physical products. So would you spend time trying to make that tool fit, or would you spend time looking for a better tool that will align with your strategy? So the smart way would be to do the latter, right? So instead of wasting time trying to fit a square into a round hole, is to just look for a square hole, basically. So your strategy first, that is what it should come first. And there is nothing perfect. There is no such a thing as a perfect tool. So you will never find something that does everything that you need the way that you want it. That's the other thing when you need to keep in mind when you're looking for a tool.
So it seems like this process could be hard for a lot of people to do. Like it seems
Yes.
like to go in. So the goal should be relatively easy. If you don't know what your goal is, then you're probably not going to have success anyways. If you don't know what your end result is, structure and the systems, that seems like that. I mean, that seems like a lot of people are just going to get hung up there. Like if they can do that, then they are already automated, right?
So the easier part in that case would be to say, are you willing to learn, or are you capable to learn? If not, are you willing to hire, or are you capable of hiring? Like, do you have the money to hire someone to help you? So that would be basically the two questions you would need to ask yourself. Because it's either you pay money for someone to do it for you, or you spend the time doing it yourself. There is no other way around.
Well, now we get to my favorite part anyways, because I always have money and I can always buy stuff. And I would recommend people to buy people's stuff, especially if you're trying to get them to buy your stuff. It's one of my secret tactics it's not really a secret. I share it with people all the time. Like the easiest way to get somebody to buy your stuff is to first go buy their stuff. So tell me about that. What do you have what are your offers? What type of offers do you have out there? What can people go buy from you right now, and where can they buy it at?
So the main thing that I offer is one-on-one services. So I talk with people, mainly people who are already selling something online or even offline, and they are transitioning to the online world. And what we do is we first have I call it like a strategy session. Like it is a Zoom call, like what we're doing right now, for instance, and we discuss about what they want to do. So I first need to understand if they are clear on their strategy, what they are looking for, and if I can help them or not. And then we go to the idea of, okay, Kartra would be the right tool for you. I only work with Kartra right now. So basically we discover is if Kartra would be the right tool for their strategy. And I am assuming that they either want to learn it or hire me to do it for them. So either way, the end tool is going to be Kartra, but I start with their strategy just to make sure that Kartra will fit their strategy. So that is basically the service I sell. So it starts with the strategy and it goes all the way to developing their systems, their automated system in Kartra.
So are you telling me that you only have one thing that you offer and it's just,
that is my main offer. And some people come to me for like one-on-one teaching, like they need to do something in Kartra, they want to do it themselves, and they pay me just by the hour to teach them. Okay, you need to click here, you need to click there, and that's how it works. So they ask me questions directly, and that's it. But yeah, that's basically my main offer. I am also Kartra affiliate, but that one comes like afterwards. Some people just say, oh, okay, I'm looking for Kartra, I have questions about it. I don't need someone to do it for me. I'm gonna do it myself, but I need to know if you can do this, you can do that. So I answered their questions beforehand, and they, as a thank you, they say, okay, I'm gonna buy it with your affiliate link because you gave me clarity about it. And I am very upfront and honest about Kartra being right or not for people, because it doesn't make any sense for me to bring people into Kartra for them to just cancel a few weeks after. The idea of being an affiliate is to bring people who are going to actually stay using the product, because that makes more sense for the business that I am promoting, and it also makes sense for me as an affiliate because I make the revenue month after month, right?
so you don't have any free thing that you offer people? You don't have like
I have a quiz right now. So for people who are just intrigued about the idea, I have a quiz on my site, which basically tells them if Kartra would be the right tool for them or not. And it also gives them some, in some cases, you need to add more than just Kartra for your business. And I also talk about that on my quiz. And some people need more details, and that's when we go to either Facebook Messenger or even a Zoom call to talk about that. But the main thing is just what, if you go to my website, there is a quiz in there, and that's basically how you can start learning about Kartra a little bit more, and having an idea if it will fit your strategy. And I am also very open that what I send are affiliate links. So that is one thing that I strongly believe I am bringing from my professional world to this online world, which is my code of ethics. So I don't lie to people. I don't like to trick to people to get into my affiliate link. So I'm surprised that some people purchase Kartra using someone else's affiliate link without knowing that they did. So for me, it doesn't make sense. It's like I am pretty honest and upfront. If you do the quiz and you get an email from me, it says at the very bottom, this is an affiliate link, which means, because not everybody knows what an affiliate link is, which means that if you buy, I will get a commission from it.
So your free thing, essentially your lead magnet is your quiz.
It's a quiz, yeah.
If you have your one-on-one strategy session, I'm assuming that's a high ticket thing. That's your high ticket.
Yeah, my high ticket is a one-on-one. The quiz is basically for people to learn if Kartra would make sense or not. So when the idea there is just to promote the affiliate portion of my business. So basically promote Kartra for people who are just learning about it or who are curious about it, and that's it. People who already know that they want to work with Kartra, those are the ones that contact me and ask for one-on-one consultations. And that is a high ticket, right? My packages range from 2,000 to 5,000 depending on the magnitude of the project. So I work by the project, I don't work by the hour. And I bring not only the like doing the Kartra stuff in the backend, which you can get for cheap somewhere else, but I do from a strategy all the way to implementation.
So it really seems like you're missing a low ticket, and it seems like you're missing continuity.
Oh yeah, the business is new in the sense that I basically started working with one-on-one, and that is how I've been doing really great during this year. And now the quiz is there, I think a couple of months ago or a month ago, just recently. So I still need to fit something in the middle, something in between the high ticket and the entry level, which is the quiz, right? The free stuff for sure.
Yeah,
There's still a lot for me to do on the business side of things, and I'm still learning.
it seems like, I mean, because like people, if they don't know you and like and trust you, they're for sure not going to go for the high ticket. So you got to have something for free that you can give them, and then typically you need a low ticket to get somebody to cross that transactional bridge, and like a $7 or $49 thing.
Exactly. Well, in my case, I was lucky enough, or I am lucky enough, to be part of the Kartra Facebook group. Basically, that's the official group where people ask questions about Kartra. And I usually only respond to the ones that are more difficult for people to respond. So like you find a lot of people helping each other, and find a lot of people trying to position themselves and as experts so they can be hired. But I carefully choose what to answer and how to answer. And I believe that's why some people just contact me afterwards. So that is my exposure thing right now. So people are already warm when they come to me, because they already know the kind of answers that I give in the Facebook group. And some people even just without even knowing me just tag me when they they really want me to answer their questions, right? So again, I'm fortunate that that is how it works for me. So when they come to me, they already kind of know me. It makes the sale per se easier. And I think the other way is that I don't make the calls about the sale. I make the calls about understanding what they need and making sure that Kartra will work for them. And I think they get it. Like, I'm not trying to tell them, okay, this is gonna cost you this much, and I'm gonna make you, I don't know, if you buy today, I'm gonna give you a 50% discount, but you need to buy right now, or those kind of things, right? Like, it's a way I try to understand. We spend some time understanding what's going on, and then we talk about the money and the time and everything. And it's again, it's like a project for me. So it's not a thing like a by the hour. And I am also a very graphical person, and I think that is a thing that have solved for me. Like, I showed them a funnel map of what we're doing. I call it the customer journey. So I show them what's going on in the whole thing, from people going to your world all the way to selling your offer, which I haven't done for me, but that's what I do for my clients. And because they already have the offers, they just need a way to amplify their message. They just need a way to sell their stuff. And that is where I come from. Like, when people are just starting out, I may be too expensive for them. But when people already have something in place, when people are already selling something but not selling as much as they would like to, that is when my services are not seen as expensive, but as an investment, because they know they're gonna get their money back in the near future.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I see a huge amount of value in automating your sales process and business.
Mhm.
I mean, I've literally built my entire business around, like, most of the software that we offer is
Exactly.
there to automate your business. So that's what you do. You help people automate their business. And is this the right website right here to go and be able to actually
Yes.
deploy you online, dadpreneur.com?
Yes, it is.
So do you have a specific type of person that you'd like to work with more than others? Is there like a specific person who you love
For
working?
whatever reason, like, it wasn't on purpose, but for whatever reason, most of my clients are women uh, on her 50s, or, well, 50 or more years old. Like, probably 90% of my clients.
So you like,
My wife believes it's because I am very patient with them. And I do understand technology way better than they do. And I make it easy for them to either understand or use it. So it's like, okay, we talk a high level. They say, oh, I would like to do this and that and that, and they have no idea how to do it. And then I make it happen. And I think that's why they are happy with my work, because it's just, okay, this is what I need. You just go ahead and do your magic. I don't know how it works, but they know that it's going to work. And they know that if I said it's going to take me 4 weeks, it actually takes me 4 weeks or less. So I've heard a lot of my clients who worked before, like the online world is scary, and they work with people who either didn't even show up, just took the money and disappeared, or they said, oh, I can do this in a couple of days, and it took them a couple of months. So it's, people lie in order to sell. Well, some people lie in order to sell. And I found a lot of frustration. So at the beginning, it was kind of hard to sell my services to some people, because they were like, okay, you're just another online person who are going to disappear. And but well, then I started to get more testimonials, so I put those testimonials on my Facebook page, and I think that also helped.
So I've taken up a lot of your time. We're a little late on the hour. I wanna thank you again, Gonzalo, for coming here and hanging out with me, getting to know me, letting me get to know you and
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
practice my interview skills here. So again, people can go right here to onlinedadpreneur.com, and they can essentially schedule a time to chat with you about what you do, which is automate their sales process, right? So
Yeah, well, basically that one will take them to the quiz, and they will get an email from it with the quiz, and they can just send me an email afterwards if they want to. Yeah.
And they can connect with you on Facebook. I tagged you here.
For sure.
Connect with you on Facebook. They can
For sure.
on Facebook. Is there
Exactly.
anything else that you'd like to say before we get done with this?
Well, just thank you so much for the opportunity. And I do believe that we need more people like yourself and myself. Well, it's not about just making the sale, but it's about being true to what we believe in, and just showing up naturally. Like we don't need to fake or uh, like make false promises, especially when it comes to time and money. Like I really don't like when I see those kind of oh, you can make $100,000 in one day or $1 million in a week, of those kind of things, right? Like, it's not true, and it's not fair, because some people believe that, and they spend their money on those kind of products because they basically believe that lie, and that's not fair to me.
So just basically use your brains out there, ladies and gentlemen. If it seems too good to be true,
It's probably, yeah.
Unless it's an offer coming from me, because my offers are amazing. So again, I want to just thank you for being here, Gonzalo. Thank you.
My pleasure.
For hanging out. And if you guys want to reach Gonzalo, you can find him on Facebook. I've tagged him here. You can visit his website. And if you want somebody to go in and automate your business, then just contact him.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to end our live stream real quick on Facebook.